Welcome to The Back Cover, the podcast that explores the classic soul music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I'm Karen Williams. Join me and my co-host Steve Williams, no, we're not related, as we flip over the album covers and share stories of the movers and shakers that created, wrote, and produced those iconic sounds. We'll educate and entertain you, all while keeping the music alive. Welcome to this episode of The Back Cover. June is African American Music Appreciation Month, so we decided to highlight the legacy of Chicago recording label Chess Records. If you don't know the Chess name, you don't know music. Chess specialized in blues, R&B, soul, gospel music, early rock and roll, and occasional jazz releases. We also celebrate the legacy of one of Chess's biggest blues stars, Mr. Howlin Wolf. We interview his daughter, Miss Barbara Marks, and she shares some background about the artist. Then we talk with Miss Jacqueline Dixon, the daughter of Mr. Willie Dixon. He is perhaps best known as one of the most prolific songwriters of his time, and also for his role as producer, talent scout, session musician, and songwriter for Chess. Many say he was Chess Records. So enjoy this special salute for African American Music Appreciation Month.
I'm getting ready to play some stuff, man, that you would probably get locked up for today, the way some of these guys sing.
No, the things they sing about now.
Oh, well, back then you would have.
Oh, back then, yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
Today we reach way back into what was then called the Great Migration from the South to the North to the Midwest to the East and West even. That's that cartoon that be bad. But these guys and women, some, when they all moved this direction from the deep South, they were creating a new lifestyle. They were after a new life. Basically, jobs. So they could take care of their families and things of that nature. And they brought everything that they had from the South that they could carry. They brought it all with them to the Midwest. Some landed in Detroit. Some landed in Cleveland, Ohio. Some landed, of course, in Chicago. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. That's why they called it the Great Migration. And when they got here, they brought everything, the food, and they brought the music. But one thing happened with the music. They electrified it. Yes, indeed. Because you couldn't hear an acoustic guitar in a big... No. You couldn't hear it.
Because they didn't have big venues like that down south.
They had venues.
But they were more in
They weren't in the thousands, though. They were in like maybe 20.
Right. That's not even a big venue.
Well, back then, that was a lot of folks.
Well,
you know.
But then when they got up here, then they had 100 maybe in a room.
No, they hadn't gotten that far yet. Some people were forced to live in certain parts of their various cities because
of segregation.
Segregation.
Yeah, housing discrimination.
So, well, it was what it was.
It was what it was.
It was what it was. But they came to be better and to get better opportunities.
Yep.
I can still see my grandmother, Willie Ann Sledge, telling me about when they got to Chicago and 49 and things like that, and 55, there were certain areas that they could not visit, nor could they live in.
Right.
So they had their own area called Bronzeville, which stood for Blackville. You weren't allowed to go certain spots.
Right.
So they made their own. They made their own restaurants. They made everything that they could make a living on. My grandmother landed on 43rd Street, her and her sisters and her cousin. And her cousin used to go out with all of them. They went to they weren't juke joints, they were called lounges then.
It got fancy.
And it got fancy. And her cousin, Lillian, met a man that was about 6'4", about 300 pounds. and his name was Arthur. Better yet, his name was Chester Arthur Burnett. And you know him as the great Howlin Wolf. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my cousin. I ain't talking about somebody we just played cousins. We related.
Bloodline.
Bloodline. Miss Barbara Marks. Hello, cuz.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
I am having a great day. It's Friday. The sun is shining. I don't owe nothing on my light bill. I'm good. You know, when I tell people, I say, yeah, I'm related to Mr. Wolf. No, you ain't. You too young. Girlfriend.
Yes.
Tell us about that gentle giant. Because I know people say, well, man, that big, he must be angry. The man was like a giant, but he was a good man. Great man.
Yes, he was one I'll never forget. I often think about he didn't actually give me life, but life gave me him.
Yes.
And what a blessing it was. You know, he was, as you say, a gentle giant. People have all these stories about how mean and whatever, but he just wanted his music to be correct.
Yes.
He wanted to be at his jobs on time. And I hear it's not an easy job being a band leader. And so he did it, you know, the best he knew how, and it worked for him because he always showed up before time, on time. He wanted to be paid half before he got there, and half at halftime or whatever you call intermission. And he just was about that music. I don't think he knew what an influence he would have on it all. He probably looked at it as a job, but he took it very seriously. And it turned out, I know he didn't live to know how great he really was, but you know, we try to keep that legacy going. And
right.
He created his own legacy, and it's all good. It's so good to hear from you. And I'm glad you're doing Chess Records today, and of course he would have turned 111 on yesterday, but
right.
It's all good. We still is celebrating his life and missing him down here and loving him down here. So we'll never, we'll always love him.
See, those record companies all used to kind of work together, man, because one had a studio, one didn't, or the musicians were in town or maybe not. So they worked together to get, remember, Anna Records, Berry Gordy's older sister, had the record company first between him and her, Anna Records. And they did all of their recordings at Chess Studio. But this is when it was on 21st and Cottage Grove. See, Chess Records was an American record company established in 1950 in Chicago, specializing in blues, rhythm and blues, and it was a successor to Aristocrat Records, founded in 1947. It expanded into soul music, gospel music, early rock and roll, and jazz. Comedy recordings released on Chess and its subsidiary label, Checker. You ever seen one of those records?
Checker?
That label, that was a subsidiary. Argo, Cadet. The Chess catalog is currently owned by Universal Music Group and managed by Geffen Records. Established and run by two Jewish immigrants, two brothers, from what was then Poland, Leonard and Phil Chess. The company produced and released many singles and albums regarded as central to the rock and roll canon. The musicians and critics, Cub Coda, described Chess as America's greatest blues label. Yet it went farther than that.
Yes, farther.
Chess was based at several locations on the south side of Chicago. Initially at South Cottage Grove Avenue, which I was over yesterday.
Did you take pictures?
No, I knew where I was going.
No, we could have put them on our website.
Well, I was looking for the one that I had of 2120 and couldn't find it this morning, but it's in there somewhere. It was 2120, the most famous address, Michigan Avenue, from May 1957 to 1965, immortalized by the Rolling Stones at 2120 South Michigan. An instrumental recorded there during the group's first U.S. tour in '64. The building is now home of Willie Dixon's Blues Heaven Foundation. In the mid-1960s, Chess relocated to a much larger building, the former home of Revere Camera Company at 320 East 21st Street. The label's final Chicago home shortly before the death of Leonard Chess in '69, the brothers sold the company. Their first Chess release was a jazz artist by the name of Gene Ammons.
Yes, Gene Ammons. You know that jazz name?
I did. I just wanted to see
I
it.
knew.
Now, I'm going to tell you this story. Some of y'all might believe it or some not. This is how Mr. Wolf ended up at Chess.
Okay.
You've heard of Sun Records, right?
Right.
The label that Elvis was on.
Right.
Well, Sun Records, Mr. Wolf was on Sun Records in Memphis with Mr. Sam Phillips.
Okay.
People loved Mr. Wolf's sound because it was like he was growling and howling at the same time. Hey, man. He had a real growly voice.
Okay.
And what happened, Sam Phillips wanted him, but he wouldn't leave. No, I'm sorry. Leonard and Phil wanted him on Chess in Chicago. So they went to Sam Phillips, who had earlier got rid of Elvis to RCA Records.
Dummy.
And
he regretted that for a lifetime.
And what happened, Sam had a group called the $1 Million Quartet, featuring Elvis, Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins. They never recorded together at all. So Leonard and Phil wanted Mr. Wolf. And they told Sam, listen, we'll trade you for anybody you got, but we want the Wolf Man. And Sam told Mr. Wolf about it. And he was just ready to leave Memphis because of the situations and everything. And being one of the only musicians to leave Memphis or the Deep South with his own money. He had money because he was a great saver. Can you recall in the movie The Cadillac Records that he met up with Leonard and said, hey, you need any money? He said, no, I don't borrow from the store.
Right.
He said, you see this old truck? I own it. It don't own me. So that was a guy by the name of Roscoe Robinson. He was a Sam Phillips artist on Sun Records. Could sing, but couldn't perform with a doggone. But he was a mainstay in Memphis. He was great in Memphis. And they traded. He said, we'll give you Roscoe if we can have Wolf. The trade was on. Wolf left Sun, went to Chess. Roscoe, not so much. And that's one of the ways Mr. Wolf ended up in Chicago.
So Sam Phillips took Roscoe. Because he was popular in Memphis, thinking he was going to go be real hot. But Roscoe just stayed in Memphis.
He stayed in Memphis.
He didn't go anywhere else.
No. They released Mr. Wolf from the Sun label.
And then he went to Chess.
And became one of the kings of Chess.
And poor little Roscoe.
Well.
Popo Roscoe.
There you go.
Roscoe is such a funny name to me.
Oh, you are Tad. See, Roscoe had a bit of a drinking problem.
Oh, see.
Yeah. But that's how it goes. Sometimes you're thinking you're getting more.
And you're getting less.
And you're getting
That's because, as Wilson Pickett said,
don't let the green grass fool you. Now, I'm gonna test some of y'all on this. Well, I'm gonna test you two, because y'all are right in front of me. Leonard and Phil was having problems getting airplay by different radio stations throughout the Chicagoland area. So, April 1st of 1963, a few months before I got here, there was a Polish station signed to Cicero, Illinois. Wait a minute. Let me get through.
I wasn't going to say anything. I'm eating
Your
my
mouth
almonds.
was in motion.
I was eating my almonds. Okay, go ahead.
And it was, like I said, it was signed to Cicero, Illinois. But if you know anything about Chicagoland, Cicero sits right in the middle of the south and west sides. Mm-hmm. Where back in those days, that's where all of our people landed. Mm-hmm. Okay. So when they purchased this piece of property, they put it into motion April the 1st, 1963. Can you tell me what it was?
I'll let Sharon guess first. Go ahead, Sharon. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
The station.
You know it.
Very famous Chicago. BMX? BMX ain't even still together.
Hit her, please.
BMX started in the 90s.
Throw something at her for me.
Historic black station. No.
What? No, they weren't. Well, the frequencies was around, but they weren't in existence yet. On April the 1st, 1963, the first fully black program station in Chicago or Chicagoland, because there were many stations playing black music, but this was 24-hour program. It was the great WVON, and the call letter stood for the voice of the Negro, owned by the Chess Brothers, who also own Chess Records.
I should have known that.
Yeah, you should have.
maybe, but it's all right. It's all right.
Taking your black card away.
Well,
Or in your case, your tan card.
whatever.
It's always getting snatched.
I know
Okay.
it is. But
And that station still exists to this day.
Hello.
hello, is this Miss Jacqueline Dixon?
Yes, it is.
Hi, Jacqueline. This is Karen Williams calling from the Sound of Soul. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for calling. I was waiting for your call, anxiously awaiting it.
Oh, great.
All right,
great.
Karen, be quiet.
Okay.
Let a man take over here.
Oh, that's Steve.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi.
Let me take you back to 1992.
Okay.
Michigan Avenue. I was doing
Okay.
mornings for WJPC, and I met this voluptuous woman. Oh my God, with the pretty brown skin. She had jaws
Had to
so
be.
big. She had them big juicy jaws. When she smiled, her eyes closed.
Okay.
And you guys I think you had just opened up the foundation, or it had just been commissioned as historical landmark or something like that.
Right. That's
met-
right. We had just opened.
Right. I met your mom, but standing next to her was this just beautiful woman with curves like I-95.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That
girl,
sounds very familiar.
that was you.
That was my sister.
See, doggone it, I'm thinking about the wrong one,
I told you she was the youngest one.
huh?
She's the youngest
that's
sister.
That was
I'll
your
take credit, though. I don't mind.
that was your sister.
Yes, that was my sister.
That's all right. They say DNA don't never skip.
That's right.
And I met you. Well, I met your sister, and may he rest in peace. I met your brother that year too.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because he had this big old van, and him and his boys used to ride around in the van and everything, just as jolly, as his father. You know, y'all stole all y'all daddy's DNA. You don't look nothing like your mama.
That's right.
But
She was an incubator.
yeah, little bitty skinny woman he makes. He said, "Baby, eat something, please."
That's right.
How have you been?
I'm good. I'm very well. How about yourself?
I am just too blessed to be stressed. I'm Steve Williams, and of course, my girl Karen Williams. This is WTSS in beautiful Gary, Indiana. Not Gary. Those are the Bushy people. Yeah.
Now, do you live in California?
I do. I'm spending 6 months here and 6 months there. So I'm usually in Chicago from May to November, but on account of things being different.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Year and a half.
Right.
Yeah, I just get in where I fit in.
Well, we open now. Chicago
Yeah,
is open
Chicago
today.
has opened up today.
Yeah.
all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us
Well, I'll
about
be in there soon.
I'll look for you.
yeah.
Okay.
So tell us about the Willie Dixon Blues Heaven and how it came to be, and the important role your dad played in the Stax Records history.
Okay.
Chess. I'm sorry. Did I say Stax? I'm sorry. I meant Chess.
She getting old.
I'm getting old. We did a Stax one too, but I've been trying to get, as I put in my email to you, I have been trying to get, some contact with Chess for like over a year, because I went to the museum and I was just so inspired. I was like, oh, we just got to do something on Chess.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell us a little bit.
Well, my dad, he was the songwriter, arranger, producer, session musician, talent scout, all of those things for Chess in the 50s. A lot of the songs that came out of there that were #1 blues recordings, he was in some way responsible for.
Oh, he was responsible for everything.
He was the man.
Don't take nothing from Willie. Willie was Chess. He was
That's
Chess.
right.
Yes, he was.
He wore a lot of hats.
Hats, pants, coats, everything, and walked around with that big ass bass cello. I know it's not
so big that it didn't look so big next to him.
No, it looked like a regular violin. But please go on.
So yeah, he during his time with Chess, he learned a lot about the business. He learned a lot about what should and should not happen, and what was and was not happening on behalf of the musicians, and that really inspired him to want to do something for the musicians, and that was his mission with the Blues Heaven Foundation, to teach the business of music to musicians, to help with royalty recovery for a lot of artists that had never seen royalties collected, for them between the record label and the publishing company. They just weren't being paid, and he just knew that there had to be a way, first of all, to educate the musicians and also the public. And our mission statement is to promote, protect, and preserve the blues for future generations. So that's what we do. But my dad started the organization in 1981, and I saw the original documents recently. And it was my dad with Muddy Waters, Mighty Joe Young were original board members. And then the sister of Billy Boy Arnold was the secretary that recorded everything for them.
Okay.
The man, he didn't know the word no. He dibbled and dabbled. I met him twice.
Okay.
Because I am loosely related to Howlin Wolf.
Okay, awesome.
And this person that we're speaking of, I don't think he ever got the credit that he should, because, like you said, he wore everybody's hats. Because there was no one in Chess Records that knew how to wear a hat, as far as the business was concerned. Am I correct?
True. That's true. They were learning on the job.
The job, yet stealing a little bit too. They were helping themselves.
It was very common practice then and today.
Why you think they got that word, the movie, Cadillac Records?
Yeah.
Folks don't know all that stuff was leased, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I own 2 Cadillacs. No, you don't own nothing. You own the drawers and the pants you got on. If Leonard didn't lease them.
Right.
And you stop selling records and they'll come pick up everything.
Yep.
Well, let's bring it to the 21st century here. Everything.
So now, how are you and the museum working together? How do you all work with the museum?
I'm sorry, I need to repeat the question.
The museum that's over in Chicago, is that the base for the Blues Heaven, or is that a separate entity?
Yes, it is. My dad had an interest in the building, and he was trying to purchase it before he passed in January of '92. He had began a couple years ago, but the person that had possession of the building at the time, they had some political issues between my dad and his manager and the guy that owned the building. So the deal didn't go through.
And they were thinking about tearing it down at one time. Back in those days? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they were. That entire area of Record Row, from Roosevelt Road to Cermak, all of that was Record Row, and it had over a dozen record labels and distribution centers.
I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna shock you right now.
Okay.
Have you seen 1449 lately?
Is that the VJ building?
Girl, it's a coffee shop.
Oh.
The man, I got a chance to go in and talk with the man because I wanted to do a VJ night, DJing.
Mm-hmm.
He had no idea what the hell I was talking about.
Oh, wow. That's unfortunate.
I walked in crazy singing Good Night, Sweetheart, as poor as I can hum. May I help you? I say, you really don't know what this building is, do you? It is my building. I serve coffee and Danishes. I said, sir,
Oh, wow.
you are in the middle of R&B history right here. I said, have you ever heard the song Good Night, Sweetheart, Good Night? Yeah, by Shana Na. I wanted to smack him.
Uh-oh.
I said I wanted to, but I wasn't ready to go to jail. They don't feed you well.
Would not have gone well for you.
No, but it is a coffee shop. And when I Googled it on my phone and showed him, he could not believe it. Our Black history.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
That's
but
really, really.
I went to the museum it was a couple of months before the shutdown because my daughter had come home. It was late in the summer of 19. And my daughter came home from New York. And, I always try to take her around because, they don't want to sit around the house with just. So I said, let's go to Chicago. And she said, okay. And I drove over. She didn't know I was going, where we were going. I drove over to the building. I said, let's go in here. She said, what is this? I said, this is Chess Records. And she loves Etta James.
Okay.
And she's like 30. And I'm like, I don't know where she gets this old spirit from. But anyway, she loves Etta James. So I said, come in here. Etta James used to record in here. And we went in and they took us around. And the most inspiring thing was we went up to the recording studio. We saw your dad's bass. They told us a story. And they took us up to the recording studio. And we were sitting there and we were the only Black people there. I have to say it. Me, my daughter, and one other lady, and we sat together because, it was just those three. But everybody else was white, and it was about 12 of them. It was a family that had come, and a couple from Italy, 23 years old, and they said, oh, we just had to come to Chess Records. I'm like, oh, my gosh, And so we sat there in the recording studio, and they told us about everybody in the audio and all that, and then they played Etta James At Last. You're talking about people crying because it sounded like Etta was standing right in front of us, and they put the spotlight on the mic. Oh, it was awesome. Awesome.
Wow. I'm so glad you had that experience with your daughter.
Yeah. And so tell me now, who's on your board? Because you got some famous people on this Blues Heaven board that's trying to keep this music alive.
Well, right now, our board is being revamped.
Okay.
So it's undergoing some changes right now, but we've had a lot of support though from the blues community and the rock community in the past. And we're trying to get the studio back in. We're kind of at phase 3 of restoring the studio. We've got some sponsors that's helping us to with equipment and to set everything up acoustically. But it's still a labor of love. We don't have all the resources that we need available as always.
As always.
But, my dad was so passionate. And one of the things that I say when I used to give tours is, a lot of these musicians, these blues artists, had no formal education, no musical training, no anything. They just had instincts and passion and a natural talent. And maybe they developed the talent, just because of the interest in it. And some of my household names that didn't have homes, they didn't have a house, but they had a name. And you just have to know it. Like you were saying, the couple that was there from Italy, in Europe and in other places, it's so well promoted and respected and known.
Right.
We're kind of the best kept secret in Chicago sometimes.
For real, though.
People right there in Chicago don't know that we're there. And we're like, we've been here, 30 years. Clueless, absolutely clueless. So we're trying to help, to get make our presence felt more in the Chicago area and just domestically in general.
Well, you got to call people, Jack. You got to call Automatic Sam Razor Toting Jim. You got to call Pistol Pete. You understand?
Butcher Knife Toting Nanny.
Butcher Knife Toting. She waiting. They got sawdust on the floor. You know,
the street fills the air.
You got and snuff juice everywhere. Coming from Alabama, I used to play in places like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, that is the juke joint.
Come on, girl.
Right there.
Right.
With a 50-cent fish sandwich.
That's the juke joint starter kit.
Yeah.
Girl, I done told you. Don't be playing with me.
One more question. Are you guys open back up, and are you doing your Thursday night blues thing over there in Chicago? Do you know?
We're trying to focus on opening for July 1st, which is my dad's birthday.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, and we're hoping to get some staff together because we had to let everyone go last year.
Yeah.
And so that we can resume tours. So nothing is exactly concrete yet. We're working with the city and going to do some events with the city in August and September. And I think the city is going to promote those. So I don't know if I should be saying anything as of yet, if it's gone public, but it's coming really soon. And it's going to be the Sundays of August and September. So I guess the cat's out the bag. But
well, I tell you what, you need a DJ like that knows the music. That's what you need.
We do. We absolutely do.
And
you're talking.
You talking to one
man who knows the music.
For a while, for our Thursday shows, we had Herb Kent as our MC.
Well, he's gone. Poor
who
thing.
Was a WVON DJ, and VON was also owned by Chess.
No kidding.
Yeah,
we know that.
The Negro.
Like
that's
I don't
the voice
know
of the
that.
Negro. We talked about it before you came on.
This is one thing a lot of people don't know. They had a sister station too in Milwaukee, WNOV.
Oh.
Okay.
What is
Owned
that? Negro? Negro only voices?
And it was owned by Chess. Hello.
Wow. See?
You're talking to historians here.
I see.
I know one. I don't know about the other one.
I'm just a pretty face.
You know what? If you need me, call me.
No, he'll call you.
He'll call you. I'm in Chicago.
He's in Chicago.
I bring the noise.
He brings the noise.
And I won't just bring the blues chest. I'll bring the R&B chest.
Yeah.
And that brown liquor chest.
The brown liquor chest.
We love talking to you, girl, but we got to go back to work. But this day at WTSS is dedicated to Chess Records and the African American talent that made it what it was. Now, as we salute Chess Records, because people think all Chess had was just blues, but they had R&B as well. And I'm going to give you two songs from their premiere doo-wop group, but it doesn't sound like doo-wop. These guys were known as the Moonglows. And from the Moonglows came one Marvin Gaye and a guy that would help put together that Motown thing because he was married to Berry Gordy's sister, Harvey Fuqua. Yes, Harvey Fuqua. And a song written by a guy by the name of Percy Sledge. Yeah. These songs, some people think they're corny, but they are so romantic yet and so just beautiful. 12 months of the year. And these guys were famous for having what's called the blow wind sound while you chew on your nuts over there. I'm sorry, almonds. The blow wind sound was when you would take a note and just swing it like that.
They sounded much better than that. You sound like a spade cat. Go ahead.
I used to like you. And they used to practice out on Lakeshore Drive. Mm-hmm. They said people would be throwing things at them, but then they just kept on singing. And Harvey was instrumental in grooming the Temptations. he was instrumental in grooming most of the singing groups that came through, the Spinners, Motown in its early days, Smokey and all. And when he reformed the Moonglows, Marvin and Chuck Barksdale of the Dells was with him. Okay. Now, it sounds a little, some people think, well, that's one thing I really don't like about some people. In order to know where you're going, you got to know where you came from.
Right.
Doo-wop, yeah, it's been gone for years, but you know what? It's still part of our heritage.
And it has, it has a piece of us in it. Even the younger kids today, they don't know it, a lot of them. Remember Denise Williams said, a lot of these young kids don't know the shoulders they stand on. So, yeah.
And here's the thing. They had no instrumentation, but a drummer with the brush on the snare. Mm-hmm. They were all voices.
Yeah, that was the good thing about doo-wop. And I remember when I was a little kid, it was still during the time that people tried to form groups.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah.
People would be, get out that corner. Them people, they down there on the corner singing.
And
if they only knew, if that was the only thing that they would do, they would have said, everybody get a group together.
Now, here's the thing. If the deacon bowl at your church could sing like that, y'all wouldn't need no building fund.
Because people would come just to hear them sing.
And that's really how a lot of gospel groups, back in the Fisk days, and what I mean by the Fisk days, Fisk University.
Oh, yeah.
The Fisk Jubilee Singers, they all went out singing to raise money for their school.
Yeah, a lot of HBCUs did. And, even today, I love HBCU choirs, the choral groups. Oh, man.
I saw on Facebook where it was a choir somewhere going to a different, going to sing, and they stopped in Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
And they lit it up.
Oh, yeah. Lit it up.
They lit it up.
Yeah, that's great. We have great talent in our community. And remember I told you those two young people that I met at Chess?
Yeah.
Who were from Italy.
From Italy.
They were in their 20s, and they knew what Chess Records was. And they were like, oh, we just had to come. They said they had traveled all the way from Italy to Canada. They came from Canada.
And drove
down here. And and I said, where are you going? And they were like, well, we're taking a tour, and we knew Chess Records was in Chicago, so we stopped in Chicago. And ironically, the guy who worked at Chess, he was one of the people he was from Birmingham, England.
Right.
And he was like, man, people around here just don't understand that this music is just fantastic. And, over there, we love it. And, we talked for a long time. And he said he quit his job. Now, listen to this. He said, I came to America and I was working. He said, now I came to Chess and they needed somebody to be around in the building, to be sort of like a host and just kind of work with the organization. He said, I quit my job. I cut back on my hours.
To work there.
To work here. I was like, you cut back on your hours just to work here? He said, oh, yes, I love it here.
Wow. That's what happened when you love what you do.
Yeah, he cut back. And I'm like, man, he was saying, and he was telling me all about how, England is and everything. It was a really good day. Me and my daughter had a really good day. We were one of maybe 13 people who had come that day to take the tour. And like I said, it was just 3 of us who was black. But this family came, an entire family. They were from out of town, and they brought relatives, and then it was another husband and wife, and then the young people from Italy. So we had a good day with our group.
But it's amazing how you very rarely hear from overseas or whatever when it comes to music or things of that nature. You very rarely hear somebody say something like old.
Right. No, they don't say old over there.
Nothing gets old.
Nothing gets old over there. My daughter went to London one summer, and she called me back and said, hey, I went to this club. It was a day in the evening kind of club. She said, guess what? I said, what? She said they were playing. I think I said this before. They playing everything old, and everybody was in the club from 5 years old up to 80. She said, and they were all dancing.
We hope you enjoyed the show. It's
our salute to Black Music Month, or
African American Music Month. Appreciation.
Whatever you want to call it.
Whatever you call it.
Yep.
As long as you love it.
Yep.
Because around here we say classic soul. Classic soul means it don't get old.
Thanks for listening to The Back Cover. You can catch The Back Cover on TuneIn, Stitcher, and MyTuner. You can also listen to our show, The Ride Home, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Central Standard Time, on www.thesoundofsoul.net. Please have your friends and family like and subscribe to our podcast.